Hi everyone! Today I will start to color my first page from Spirit Animals coloring book by R.Phlean, and I selected page which is called Raven Magic. I always loved to color ravens. I love how their feathers are black, but they have a variety of additional colors like uh, a little bit of blue, a little bit of violet, or even bordeaux or green. So it's challenging to color feathers of the raven, but in the same time it's quite interesting. I decided first to work with watercolors for the background. I mixed various brands because from white nights I love my industrial blue and even darker indigo blue, and together with these dark blue colors I used Phthala blue by Daniel Smith, and it's added a little bit of greenish tint to my background. And of course, as we have magic here, I wanted to use also my pearlescent fine-tech watercolors, so I added Fiji and Caribbean Sea. Both of them are beautiful green colors. It's a pity then when you record coloring with pearlescent watercolors, you never can catch properly how shiny they are and how beautiful is mix of regular watercolors which provide more matte coverage of the page and pearlescent watercolors. I love paper in all books created by Blue Angel Publishing, and that's why I am not afraid to work with watercolors. I know that result will be perfect. I work on dry paper, but my brush is relatively big, so it holds quite big amount of water, and it helps me to create interesting stains on the background that one color gently flow into another. I'm not very careful here because I deliberately want to make stains of colors. The only thing I try to be careful is when I colored around this magical circle. I know that there I want to use silver or white gold watercolors, so it will look quite nice on the dark background. So there I put quite thick layer of paint on the background. I let my blue-green background and brown tree branch to dry completely, and then I was ready for the second step. Using Kuretake white gold metal watercolors, I draw that magical circle. Of course, it was possible to do the same thing using silver Posca, for example, but as I have quite nice thin brush, again from Jackson's art, which allows me to draw very thin line, I decided to play a little bit with my Kuretake paints, which unfortunately recently I hadn't used a lot, so they feel slightly abandoned, and I decided that it's a nice time to start using them again. And once more, it's a pity that you can't see properly on the screen how shiny is this white gold when you put it on the dark background. And in order to attract more attention to this central part of the page with these magical circles around them, I also decided to use another shiny fine-tech pearlescent color. It's Caribbean Sea, quite bright bluish green color, very beautiful, and it indeed looked quite well with the background colors, and it helped to attract more attention to the central part of the page. Then again, I let everything dry completely, and I was ready to start coloring Raven. You know that I am lazy and I always try to color in the quickest way, so I decided to do the first layer on the raven using black watercolor and then to work with pencils on the details. So I grabbed my Oxide Blue Van Gogh watercolors and I put first layer. I also tried to add a little bit of blue, a little bit of violet to show that feathers have additional color accents, that they are shiny and have these additional colors into black. Then again I let everything dry and I started to work on details. I decided that my next medium will be Derwent ink tens. I used charcoal grey, ink black and iron blue. Why I selected Inktense pencils to apply first layer of color and to work on the feathers? It's because I know that in the end probably I will need to add some lighter details like light gray tips of the feathers or to highlight some parts of the feathers to show that they are shiny. And you know that when you work with regular pencils and if you cover something with black, it's almost impossible to add on top of it some light gray details. But when you do first layers with watercolors or with ink tints, even on top of black color you will be easily working with a light color of pencils. And it's exactly what I did. I applied ink tints, I activated them with water, I let them dry, and in the areas where I felt it necessary, I added details using polychromasis. A little bit of greenish tint to the feathers, a little bit of blue, and I added some light gray details, mostly on the wings, where ravens sometimes have feathers with light green tips. Of course, it was quite fantasy coloring. I didn't try to do very realistic bird. I much more was interested in this contrast between color of the background, this magical circle, and figure of the raven. But in the end, most of all, it was important that I enjoyed coloring process a lot. I missed working with watercolors and with pearlescent watercolors especially, so I am glad that with this book I remember how nice it is and how quickly you can color using watercolors. I would say that in the end my raven indeed looks quite magical, with the shiny blue-green background, a white gold of the magical circle, and with a delicate shining of the blue-silver pearlescent watercolors on top of the black feathers.